It's late, later than it should be. The world outside is silent, cloaked in the kind of quiet that makes every noise inside the house seem louder. The soft rustling of the wind against the window pane, the occasional creak of the floorboards under the weight of the house's old bones, and the faint hum of the refrigerator downstairs are the only sounds that punctuate the stillness of the night. You stir in your bed, your eyelids fluttering open as the sense of something off pulls you from the haze of sleep. For a moment, you dismiss it as a dream, the remnants of a long, unsettling nightmare lingering in the recesses of your mind. But then, as the seconds tick by, that nagging sensation only grows stronger, more pronounced. It's the unmistakable feeling that someone is watching you, a cold weight that presses against your chest, suffocating and inescapable. You hold your breath, straining your ears in the dark. There's no sound, not even the soft, rhythmic pulse of your own heartbeat, to reassure you. Only a deep, suffocating silence. Your pulse quickens, and your body tenses as though it's preparing to spring into action. But nothing moves, nothing except the very air around you, a whisper of something, movement, so faint, so subtle, you could almost convince yourself it's nothing. But the hairs on your neck stand up, each tiny nerve in your body screaming at you that you are not alone. That's when you hear it, the slightest of creaks, as though someone, something, is shifting their weight at the foot of your bed. The room is pitch dark, but you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that something is there. Someone. Your eyes slowly, hesitantly, begin to open, but the darkness is overwhelming. It feels like you're trapped in a void. Your heartbeat thunders in your ears, and every instinct you have tells you to look away. But the warning, the one you've heard in hushed whispers, echoes in your mind. Do not look at him. It's a rule passed down through anxious friends, nervous family, and even strangers. They all say the same thing. You will regret it. Still the temptation gnaws at you. Your eyes move, reluctant, drawn by the pull of something you can't fully comprehend. And there, standing motionless at the foot of your bed, is a figure, a man, silent, unmoving, his presence heavy in the air, a thick, oppressive weight that seems to seep into your bones. You can't see his face. It's obscured by shadow, swallowed by the darkness that fills the room. You strain your eyes, trying to make out any feature, any clue that could give you some understanding of what's standing there, watching you. But all you see is a dark shape, unnervingly still, looming in the shadows. Do not look at him. The warning repeats in your mind, louder this time, almost like a command. But it's too late to turn away now. Fear has rooted you in place. Your breath catches in your throat and your pulse spikes. Every muscle in your body screams to run, to hide, to do anything but stay still. But your eyes won't leave the figure. And as you stare at him, a quiet, bone-chilling realization settles over you. He's not a stranger. He's not some faceless ghost. He's real. His presence is undeniable, his silence suffocating. As the minutes stretch on, your mind races with questions, each one more desperate than the last. Who is he? Why is he here? How long has he been watching me? But the fear isn't just about the unknown. No, it's about what will happen if you do what you've been told not to do. The longer you gaze at him, the more certain you become that the man at the foot of your bed isn't just standing there to watch. You sense that he's waiting for you to make the wrong move, to glance away, or worse, to look into his eyes. The room is still, the darkness so thick it seems to smother every thought, every breath you take. The only thing that feels certain now is the presence of this figure, this man, and the horrifying realization that the night Your night is no longer your own. Night after night, the figure at the foot of your bed doesn't leave. The dread, once a fleeting feeling, has now become a constant companion in your waking hours. The very thought of sleep, once a welcome escape, now fills you with a strange, bitter terror. The moment your head touches the pillow, you feel it, his presence lurking just beyond the veil of consciousness. At first you tried to convince yourself it was all in your mind, a cruel trick of the dark. Perhaps the stress, the pressures of daily life, had conjured up this shadow, a figment of an overactive imagination. But as the nights pass, you begin to doubt that explanation. The figure remains, growing more tangible with each encounter. Each time you awaken, you know before you even open your eyes that he will be there, standing silently at the end of your bed, his form now almost solid in its presence. The same suffocating stillness, the same dark, impenetrable shadow where his face should be. But somehow, it feels different now. He's no longer just a shadow, an abstract fear. No, he's becoming real. In a way, more real than anything else in your life. The first time you open your eyes to find him standing there again, a deep chill runs down your spine. You are paralyzed by the sight of him, rooted to your bed, unable to look away or even look at anything else. Your breath is shallow, each inhale a jagged gasp as your mind scrambles to process what you're seeing. How long has he been there? How much time has passed since you last saw him? But it's not just the figure's persistence that chills you. It's the feeling that he's manipulating the very fabric of your reality. You no longer know if what you're experiencing is the truth or some twisted illusion. You start to notice things that don't quite add up. The odd gaps in your memory, moments you can't explain, things you know you saw but now doubt. Was the figure in the room with you last night, or had you dreamed it? The line between waking and sleeping grows thinner, until it feels like they are one and the same. Your nights become fractured, haunted by vivid, disjointed dreams. They're always the same, dark, oppressive, and filled with the man. In these dreams, he's closer, so close that you can almost feel the chill of his presence seeping into your skin. But the worst part is that in the dreams, he speaks. Or at least you think he does. His voice is not a sound, but an oppressive thought, a murmur that slithers into your mind as if he is speaking directly into your soul. Look at me. You wake up gasping for breath, the air thick with panic, your body slick with cold sweat. Your heart pounds in your chest like a drumbeat of impending doom. But even as you force your eyes open, you are not sure if you are still trapped in the dream or if you've returned to the waking world. The darkness feels the same, and that familiar weight at the foot of your bed is still there. You try to tell yourself that it's just a nightmare, that the man is nothing more than a product of your subconscious. Yet the more you deny him, the more real he becomes. Every time you try to shake off the dream, you find it seeping into your waking hours. You catch glimpses of him out of the corner of your eye, in mirrors or reflections, standing in doorways or appearing as fleeting shadows. But when you turn to look directly, he's gone. The paranoia sets in slowly, a creeping sense of unease that gnaws at the edges of your thoughts. You begin to question everything around you. Are you still dreaming? Is any of this real? The figure seems to be everywhere you turn, and his presence now feels like an uninvited guest in your own life, a force that refuses to be ignored. You begin to lose your grip on time and reality, caught in a whirlwind of fragmented memories and distorted perceptions. In the rare moments when you manage to pull yourself from the depths of this fog, you notice something that makes your blood run cold. The figure is becoming more human. At first he was just a shadow, an indistinct shape lurking at the end of the bed. But now you can make out the faintest outlines of a form. His posture is unnervingly still, yet you can feel the weight of his presence, as though every part of him is watching, waiting. His shape seems to shift with the shadows, sometimes a little taller, sometimes broader, but never completely the same. And then it happens. One night, as you slowly drift into sleep, you hear it. The faintest whisper, so soft that you wonder if you imagined it. But then it comes again, louder this time. "Look at me." The words echo inside your mind, not in the way words are spoken, but as if they are inside you, pulling you deeper into the dark. You feel the compulsion, the overwhelming urge to obey, to look. But something inside you holds back, the warning echoing louder now. Do not look at him. But it's too late. The moment you glance in his direction, you feel the weight of his gaze settle over you, a suffocating pressure that pins you down. You don't know if you're awake anymore or if the nightmare has swallowed you whole. In that moment, you lose the last vestige of certainty you had about what is real. The boundary between your waking life and your nightmares has dissolved entirely. It starts with a whisper, so faint you might mistake it for the wind. Yet as the nights stretch on, you begin to hear it more clearly. The whisper is always the same. You know me. At first, you dismiss it, assuming it's just the remnants of a nightmare clinging to your consciousness. But as the days blur into one another, the words become a chilling truth you can no longer ignore. You do know him, the man at the end of your bed. But who is he? There's a part of your mind that wants to dismiss it, to refuse the thought. But it nags at you, with an intensity you can no longer bear. The fragments of your memory, once so sharp and clear, are now shrouded in fog. Pieces of your past that you had long buried, kept hidden in the recesses of your mind, begin to resurface like lost, disjointed fragments of a puzzle you can't quite put together. The figure in the shadows at the foot of your bed is not a stranger. He is not just some nameless entity, some ghost from another world, number. He is someone you knew deeply, someone you tried to forget. You start to replay moments in your life, searching for clues, trying to piece together the puzzle. But each memory that surfaces only distorts the image further. Faces, places, conversations, they all blur together, like a dream fading when you wake. You feel like you're standing on the edge of a precipice, peering into a void, afraid that if you look too closely, the darkness will swallow you whole. And then it hits you. A moment, long forgotten, bursts into your mind. It's a memory from years ago, buried so deep you had convinced yourself it was nothing but a bad dream. A face, a name. James. His name lingers in your mind like a shadow, though the memory of him is incomplete. The face that once filled you with warmth now feels foreign. You don't remember what happened to him. The details of your past with him are fragmented and hazy, like pieces of a puzzle you forced yourself to forget. The more you try to dig deeper, the more it slips away, like sand through your fingers. But you remember the last time you saw him, that night. The night everything changed. It was supposed to be an ordinary night, but something went horribly wrong. The memory is clouded, suffocating, but you can't escape the feeling that James's disappearance, his fate, is tied to the man standing at the foot of your bed. You try to gather the fragments. James was more than just a friend. There was a closeness there, something deeper than friendship, something you never allowed yourself to acknowledge. But whatever it was, it ended abruptly, violently. The memory of that night is a blur of emotions, confusion, and terror. But you know deep down that you were there when it happened. You witnessed something you shouldn't have, something you pushed away and buried in the dark corners of your mind. Your heart races as you try to reconnect the pieces. The figure at the foot of your bed isn't just an observer. He's someone with a purpose. He's tied to you, to your past, and to a secret you've tried desperately to bury. Every night he comes closer, growing more real, as if feeding off your fear, as if he's waiting for you to remember. And then it happens. You find it. A dusty old photo album tucked away in the back of a forgotten drawer. You haven't seen it in years. The moment your fingers touch the brittle pages, a sickening wave of nostalgia crashes over you. The album is filled with photos from a time when life felt simpler, when you were happy, before the darkness swallowed everything whole. You open the first page, and there he is, James. His smile is so familiar, yet it feels like a lifetime ago. There's a photo of the two of you together, smiling, carefree. But then as you turn the page, the next photo freezes your blood. It's an image of the two of you standing together, arms around each other, but behind you, standing in the shadows, is a figure, a shadowed silhouette. It's too blurry, too out of focus, to make out any details. But you know it's him, the man at the end of your bed. Your breath hitches, and your hands tremble. The realization hits you like a wave. James was never gone. He never left. He's been there all along, standing in the shadows, watching. The figure at the foot of your bed isn't some ghost, some vengeful spirit. It's James. And the man you've been running from is a reflection of the guilt, the secrets, and the horrifying truth of what happened that night. The pieces finally begin to fall into place, and the truth is more terrifying than you ever could have imagined. The man at the foot of your bed is not haunting you for the sake of revenge. He's here to make you remember, to make you face what you've buried deep inside. The question is no longer who he is, it's what he wants. As you stare at the photo, your mind floods with fragments of memories, conversations with James, moments of intimacy, and then the accident, the moment that destroyed everything. Your mind reels, trying to piece it together, but the truth is too much to bear. You don't know if you're ready to face it, but the man at the foot of your bed knows, and he's not leaving until you do. The photographs, once innocent and nostalgic, now feel like poison to your soul. The album lies open before you, the images of a past you wished to forget staring back at you. James's face, once a symbol of warmth and comfort, now holds a haunting familiarity. The more you look, the more the truth becomes undeniable. But with each revelation, you feel yourself slipping into a place of fear that you never thought possible. You can't stop yourself. You need to know more. You have to know everything. The questions in your mind are relentless, gnawing at you like parasites. What happened to James? Why is he haunting you? And what is the secret, the one so dangerous that even he was forced to remain hidden in the shadows all these years? You begin to search through your old possessions, old boxes filled with keepsakes, letters, anything that might give you the missing pieces of the puzzle. But with every new discovery, the air grows heavier. The more you unearth, the more you feel something shifting inside you, as though you're disturbing something that was meant to remain buried forever. You find another photo, this one more disturbing than the last. It's an image of James in a hospital bed, pale, unconscious, his body bruised and battered. You didn't know this photo existed. You didn't remember the night it was taken. Panic rises in your chest as you scan the back of the photo. desperately searching for an explanation, a hint, something that will give you a reason to justify what you're seeing. But there's nothing. Instead, the photo simply says, "It was an accident. It was your fault." The words echo in your mind, a cold reminder of the guilt you've carried for so long, the guilt you've buried so deep that you didn't even recognize it until now. You recall bits and pieces of that night, flashes of memory so jumbled and broken that they don't feel like they belong to you anymore. You were there, you saw it happen, but your mind refuses to give you the full picture. Every night, as the figure at the foot of your bed grows more solid, more real, you realize that the secrets you're digging into are more dangerous than you could have ever imagined. James isn't just haunting you for vengeance. He's here to make you remember something you don't want to remember. A truth so catastrophic that it could shatter everything about who you are, who you've become. You can't help but dig deeper. There's a force driving you now, compulsion, desperation, fear, that pushes you to find the answers, to confront the darkness you've ignored for so long. But with each piece you uncover, the truth feels more and more like a curse. Late one night, you stumble upon a series of old journal entries written by you in the aftermath of the accident. As you read them, the weight of the memories threatens to overwhelm you. You hadn't remembered writing them, but there they are. Your own words, written in a frantic, disjointed scrawl. They're full of confusion, regret, and a growing sense of dread. As you read deeper, you realize something that you had been unwilling to acknowledge for so long. You weren't alone in the accident. James was there with you, but you weren't the one who was hurt. It was him. And that night, you made a decision that you could never take back. In the journal entry, you see your own words. "I don't know if I can live with this. I can't help him. I have to pretend it didn't happen. It's better if everyone forgets. It's better if we both forget." The realization crashes over you. The man at the foot of your bed is not just a manifestation of guilt. He is the person you abandoned, the one you walked away from when he needed you the most. The truth you've been running from for years is that you were the one who left him, the one who failed him. He's been waiting for you to remember, to face the consequences of your actions. The man in the shadows is James, but he's also your shadow. He is the darkness of your soul, the part of you that you pushed away and ignored for so long. He's there to make sure you never forget the night you chose to run away from the truth, to let guilt and fear drive you to abandon the one person who needed you. You want to stop digging. You want to burn the journal, erase the memories, and pretend that this never happened. But you can't. The truth is out, and now you must face it. The more you uncover, the more you realize that the truth is no longer something you can control. It's pulling you down, deeper into a pit you can't escape. The deeper you dig, the closer James comes, the closer the man at the foot of your bed stands. And as he watches you, as his silent presence looms in the corner of your mind, you know that he won't leave until you acknowledge the full weight of your past. You're running out of time. The truth is dangerous, it's forbidden, and every step you take toward it brings you closer to the edge of a terrifying precipice. But you can't stop now. The man at the foot of your bed has been waiting for you to remember. And now, the final piece of the puzzle is within reach. But when you reach it, will you be able to face it? The night feels heavier than ever. You sit in your room, surrounded by the remnants of your search. Old photographs, torn journal pages, forgotten objects that have all but turned into relics of a life you wish you could forget. The shadows in the corners of your room stretch unnaturally, and the oppressive silence seems to weigh down on you, suffocating. The man at the foot of your bed stands still as ever, his presence unmistakable. His face is hidden in the darkness, but his eyes, those piercing, empty eyes, seem to bore into you. It's him. It's James. But it's not just James. The truth you've uncovered, every photo, every journal entry, every whispered memory, has led you to this moment, this reckoning. You've spent so long running from it, pretending it was something you could ignore. But you can't escape it any longer. He's here to make sure of that. The weight of his presence is suffocating now. There's no comfort in the darkness, only cold, relentless fear. The man, who you once thought was just a specter of your guilt, is now undeniable. He's not just some shadow that haunts you in the night. He is the consequence of everything you've hidden, the embodiment of your deepest shame. And he's not here to hurt you physically. He's here to make you face the truth. As you stare at the figure, a deep, unsettling realization begins to form in your mind. You can no longer avoid it. The man at the foot of your bed is not here for revenge. He's not an evil spirit seeking retribution. He is a manifestation of your guilt, a reflection of the night you tried to forget, of the decision you made that forever altered both of your lives. You remember it now, every painful detail, the night of the accident, the choice you made, the fear that overtook you. You could have saved him. You could have stayed, called for help, done anything, but you didn't. And the consequences of that night have haunted you ever since. You had hoped, for all these years, that burying the truth deep inside would make it go away. But James is here to make sure you never forget. He's been waiting for you to remember, to face the consequences of your choices. But the truth isn't just painful, it's dangerous. As the realization sinks in, you begin to question everything. How much of what you've remembered is real? How much of your past have you distorted to protect yourself from the truth? Every part of your life, every relationship, every decision you've made now feels tainted by your failure. The man at the foot of your bed is not a ghost or a demon. He is you, the part of you that you tried to bury, the part that refuses to let you forget the consequences of your actions. The guilt is overwhelming now, flooding every corner of your mind. You can feel it, like a tangible weight, pressing down on your chest. You want to scream, to run, to escape this nightmare. But there's nowhere to go. You can't escape yourself. And that's when it hits you, the terrifying truth you've been running from all along. The man is your shadow. He is the part of you that you've locked away, the piece of your soul that you've been trying to forget. The darkness at the foot of your bed is not just an entity haunting you. It is the truth, the part of your soul that you've been desperately denying. It's not James seeking closure. It's you. You're the one who needs to find redemption. You stand, trembling, as the figure's form begins to shift. He steps closer, slowly, deliberately, until he's standing at the very edge of the bed. His face is still obscured, but you feel his presence more acutely than ever before. Every muscle in your body screams to look away, to turn and flee, but you know, deep down, you can't. You have to face it. You have to face him. You left me. His voice echoes in your mind, raw and anguished. You abandoned me. You were supposed to save me. You promised you would, but you didn't. The words cut through you like a blade, and the floodgates open. The flood of memories, the night, the accident, his pleading eyes, the fear, the silence afterward, the shame that never left. You realize with gut-wrenching clarity that James never wanted revenge. He wanted closure. He wanted you to stop running from your guilt. And now, the truth is here, standing before you in the form of your darkest regret. In that moment, you are faced with an agonizing choice: to finally confront the truth, to admit your failure and the guilt that has shaped your life, or to turn away once more and live in the shadow of this torment forever. The room feels suffocating. You can feel the man, James, or what he has become, standing inches from you, his silent presence forcing you to confront the deepest parts of your soul. You want to run, you want to scream, but your legs feel like lead. Your mind is a whirlwind of conflicting emotions: guilt, regret, fear. You want to ignore it all, pretend it never happened, but deep down, you know that's impossible. There's no escape. As you stare at the figure in front of you, the decision becomes clear. You must look at him. You must accept what you've done, face the consequence of your failure, and finally let go of the guilt that has bound you for so long. The man steps forward, his form now fully illuminated by the pale light of the moon. His face is no longer a shadow. It's your face. The realization hits you like a tidal wave. James is you, and you are James. He is the part of yourself you've buried, the part that is never truly gone. The man standing at the end of your bed is not some external force of vengeance. He is the living embodiment of your own remorse. He is the reckoning. As your heart pounds in your chest, you realize that this is the moment of truth. This is the reckoning. The choice is yours. Confront the guilt, face the consequences of the past, or let the man, your shadow, consume you. But no matter what you choose, the man at the end of the bed will always be there, watching, waiting for you to finally face him.